The outback can be an isolating life.
Oh, you're all going to charge.
And for people like Ella Brady with endometriosis, it's even tougher.
I feel like we're raised to be, cowgirls don't cry. Toughen up, you'll be right, get back on the saddle.
The incurable disease makes it difficult for people to live and work in Western Queensland.
So endometriosis is where tissue that is similar to the lining of the uterus is found in other parts of the body.
The 22-year-old says it's still a taboo topic in the man's world of agriculture.
Navigating that, especially rurally. Metro, I feel like there's more awareness coming forward, so they're kind of a bit more understanding towards it, whereas rurally it can be a lot trickier.
It's not just the stigma. The vast remoteness can also take its toll.
I've been travelling over 1,400 kilometres to go and see a specialist in Brisbane, and it's been tough. I do a lot of telehealths, but obviously because it's an internal disease, there's only so much that telehealth can do.
Miss Brady was airlifted to hospital after collapsing in pain.
I got RFD-SDR from Alpha to Rocky, where they put me straight in for emergency surgery, and then I was in there for 2 weeks, and the emergency surgery showed stage 3 endometriosis.
We see in the outback people travelling up to 15 hours just to see and access the care that they need.
26-year-old cattle producer Kirsten Stokes is grateful for her family. She was diagnosed with the disease 7 years ago and is struggling with infertility, which has been attributed to her endometriosis.
We were really lucky with Ellie. We fell pregnant pretty much straight away, all naturally. But yeah, now it's been 2 years in the process now of trying to fall pregnant again with no luck.
Like Ella, Kirsten has limited options for treatment and is forced to travel long distances for surgery.
Not like, many people aren't familiar with the city from out here, and it can be quite uncomfortable, a quite daunting experience.
Women in the outback are no stranger to hard labour, but those with endometriosis face additional stigma around the disease.
Before we moved here, I was shearing full time. So yeah, it was a pretty hard thing to do, working with a crew of men all the time. It's not, not something you can talk about, working in such a male-dominated field too. You don't want to be seen as, I can't do that because I'm a lady.
Living on a large station in Western Queensland, Corinne Akers is a cook and has to travel a long way to receive treatment.
The surgery, if I have it again, it was last performed at Rocky Base, so that's about 800 kilometres away from here. The specialist that I see is all the way in Brisbane, so I think that's about over 1,000 kilometres from here down to them.
And her previous job in the Northern Territory was even more remote.
We were 5 hours away from any town with no doctor anywhere close by. It was a massive concern. It was a massive concern for myself, for my previous managers on the previous station.
Travelling can take a mental and financial toll.
It's the time I have to take off, the drive, the cost, because a lot of it isn't something that, falls under Medicare or a health rebate or anything else like that. So a lot of the times you find yourself out of pocket, especially a lot of these girls that do work remote. We don't do this for the money, we do it because we love it. So it can become quite costly over a long period of time.
But it's in online communities Corinne has found support.
It's definitely a lot easier now with the social media than it was growing up when it wasn't around. So I think that, it's really vital and super important. I can read a piece of advice, from one of the girls that have, written something on, how to deal with it, maybe, and depending the area that you're in, or whether there's a young girl going to a station for a first time and she's not sure, what to pack or what to take or, what to look out for to help deal with it.
To combat her own isolation, Ella started her own social media page called Rural Endometriosis.
So I was like, bugger it, I may as well just make my own. Seeing as no one else has done it, I may as well make my own. So I feel less alone now. I feel like I have my chicks and I can talk to them and they can talk to me.